or Venice, Italy, that's underwater, like it's sinking into the ocean. Well, the economy, the U.S. economy is kind of doing that when it comes to working class people. A lot of you may or may not know, right now, lots of young people can't get jobs. They're all applying for jobs. Has anyone else seen that? But basically, they can't get jobs because, things like AI. And well, they speculate it's linked to AI. A lot of companies just are not hiring entry level people anymore. They don't want to hire college kids. They just don't. And it's kind of strange. Part of it's like a generational thing, right? Like a lot of people our age, they don't quite understand the Gen Z, Gen Alphas. They kind of see them as a little bit different, and their choices and behaviors and everything else just don't make any sense to older people. And I think that that's causing a little bit of an issue there in terms of the willingness to hire individuals in that age group. So as a result, what's been going on is something that we've never seen before, economically speaking. We've never seen a time where a computer science graduate from Berkeley can't get a job, right? We've never seen a time where an engineer from Georgia Tech is struggling to get a job. And this is what we're kind of running into. And so I would encourage you, when I went to Spelman and I spoke to some of the kids that were at Spelman, these really nice young black men who helped us carry all that stuff up those 4 flights of steps. Biggest piece of advice I gave them, they were all really smart, just these great guys, and they all had excellent majors. Tuskegee is one of those schools where just so many of the students are just they make you very proud because they're just really on top of the game. And I literally just told the guys, I said, if you want to do well long term, I think you should master AI. I also think you should learn how to start a business. I said every black man should know how to start his own business, just in case the white man's not hiring. You cannot survive economically as a black man or black woman if your whole economic survival plan is, white people are going to take care of me. That's just not um, a strategy. Not only is that a bad strategy, that's not even a strategy. Do you understand? Like the strategy of saying, you know, I hope that these other people will do this for me, and then I'll get to survive. That's a that's a scary place to be. And what it does is it induces a lot of anxiety, fear, and stress because you feel inherently that you have no say in the outcome of your story. I mean that's not fun. Like who wants to live like that? Do you get what I'm saying? Like so I think that a plan that allows you to have some say in the outcome of your movie really goes a long way. And I would encourage you to consider that as you design your economic strategy and talk to your kids. Now, forgive me for a little bit of sniffling. I told you I literally rolled out of bed and came straight here because I screwed up and I was a little bit late. And I want to apologize once again. It's just blaming on these curtains, those freaking blackout curtains, man. They were just so good. I went to sleep and I just woke. I mean, I was gone. It was wild. It was the craziest thing. I was in La La Land. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Claymation Dr. Boyce. And once again, just trigger warning. He likes to cuss. But I can't get him to stop. So I think it's probably like an addiction or something. And he's just a really disturbed human being, but he's pretty smart, and I like him, and we're friends. So let me pull it up right now and share my screen. And I want you guys to let me know if you can hear me. You hear everything okay? When I start playing, just give me a quick yes to let me know that you can hear okay. And let me share my sound. I'm gonna hit this button. All right. All right. And now that's not him. That's me looking angry in a Louisville Cardinals shirt. So let me go to the next one. Here we go. I'm gonna try to play this in 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
What the fuck is an emergency fund? It's not extra money. It's the cash cushion that keeps your life from collapsing the second shit hits the fan. Car breaks down, emergency fund. Job lays you off, emergency fund. Random medical bill that looks like a mortgage payment, emergency fund. Most people don't have one, and that's why one bad week turns into begging family, maxing out credit cards, or starting a sad ass GoFundMe. That's not a financial plan, that's desperation. Here's the truth: life doesn't give a damn about your paycheck schedule. Shit happens when it happens, and if you don't have a stash, you're not living free. You're living one step away from broke. An emergency fund isn't sexy, but it's freedom. It's the difference between handling problems like a boss and crying while the repo man tows your car. So, yeah, stack at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. Stop treating it like a maybe, it's mandatory. Because life will test your money game, and if you don't have a safety net, you're gonna splatter. I'm Little Claymation, Dr. Boyce, and between you and me, I don't give a fuck. I love you, and I'll see you next time.
I told you he cusses a lot, but you see, he's making a good point. He's talking about the emergency fund, right? He's talking about the emergency fund. And I saw it, he sent it to me, and I said, come on, people are gonna get mad because you're cussing again. And he said, I don't give a fuck, but here's your stuff. And I said, okay, this is actually good. I'm gonna share it. And I'm gonna ask everybody to forgive us for all that profanity because it's just not appropriate. Shouldn't be talking like that. Just rude, just damn rude. That's what it is. So here's the thing. Let's talk about emergency funds a little bit. And in a second, I'm gonna play this video again because in my belief, when it comes to learning, when it comes to almost like economic meditation, you have to look at things multiple times to really let it sink in. You have to repeat the message in your head to make sure it sinks into your subconscious. You have to really, really analyze things and think them through. That's what consciousness is. Meditation is a type of consciousness. And when it comes to the things that you want, I really want you to meditate on that. I want you, if you see something that you're learning from, look at it over and over and over again. This was something I notice a lot of people don't do it because we have a microwave society when it comes to thinking. People don't believe in deep thought like they used to because it requires some patience and things like that. But you'll gain insights that you never had before. In fact, there was a saying I heard once. Um, it doesn't quite just relate to this, but anyway, so that's that first point, right? So the deep thinking part, I got that from when I studied math at the University of Kentucky. I remember in my master's program we would get a math problem, one problem, not a bunch of them, just one problem. We'd have to solve it in a week. And the problem would make no sense. I would have no idea what it was. I would just immediately go into a panic because I'd say, this looks like Chinese. And I would just, but we had to do it. We had no choice. There was no like, oh, this is too hard. I can't do it. Let me give it back. You had to figure it out. So what we would do is we would look at it again, stare at it for a while, read through it over and over and over again. And then we'd go and we'd walk away and think about it. We'd eat lunch and talk about it. We'd talk to other people about it. We'd look at it again the next day, sleep on it, come back the next day, read books about it. And I guarantee you, every week it was like magic. By the end of the week, we would have the solution to the problem. And I said, man, okay, I get it now. Thinking about things deeply gives you insights that you don't get when you only think about them once. Being a deep thinker is an asset. And deep thinking a lot of times just comes down to chilling out. It's like chilling out and just letting yourself process things. Sit on it for a while, right? And I encourage you to really consider that when it comes to decision making or how you view everything in life. Some of your problems, some of your challenges may seem really insurmountable, really difficult, or on the first surface, like, oh no, this is bad, or you want to make a snap decision. I implore you, like, consider just sitting on it. If you sit on it and think about it, you'll just get some insights that you never had before. A lot of times my wife will say, "So what do you think about that?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. Let me think about that." And sometimes I might think about it for 6 months and be like, I was thinking about what you said, and I think that this would make more sense. Like, if I don't feel it and I'm not connected to the solution, meaning it doesn't feel right, even from an emotional standpoint, I'm not interested, right? So allowing it to really absorb, marinate in it really goes a long way. So speaking of that, one thing I want you to consider too is there's a saying I heard once that I really liked, and it said, if you're not willing to sacrifice for what you want, then what you want will become the sacrifice. If you do not sacrifice for what you want, then what you want will become the sacrifice. And effectively, that means that you're going to make a sacrifice no matter what. You're going to sacrifice something when you talk about this financial thing. So there will be a sacrifice. So the only question is it going to be a voluntary sacrifice that comes from you, where you get to decide the pacing and the magnitude of the sacrifice? Or is it going to be an involuntary sacrifice where life will come like a bill collector in the middle of the night and extract from you, like a repo man pulling away your car, extract from you the things that you want because you never wanted to make a sacrifice before? So does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. If you're not willing to sacrifice for what you want, then what you want will become the sacrifice. So economically speaking, that's what it is. So what's happened now is you have people that want financial security, but they sacrificed it because they never sacrificed to have it. So they're going to sacrifice to not have it by not having it, right? So a lot of people want wealth, but they don't have it because they sacrificed it. They were unwilling to sacrifice something else, so they had to sacrifice the wealth. A lot of people want to quit their job, but they can't. They want to retire, they can't because they sacrifice retirement, right? So the question is, what's it going to be? Are you going to choose to sacrifice, or will the universe coming and collect the sacrifice like a repo man? You got to make that decision because it's one or the other. And with the emergency fund, what I see is not just a system that really doesn't support the idea of having an emergency fund. They can do little things at the government level that would increase financial security in our society, but they don't, right? They just don't have an interest in doing that. So effectively, and why do they do it? Well, because capitalism needs workers, and people are less interested in going to work if they have plenty of money in the bank. If everybody in America had $100,000 in their stock portfolio, ain't nobody coming to work that day, like except for the people that love their jobs, right? So the financial security piece, I believe, is something that is strategically supported to ensure that you have to constantly pay rent just to live. Meaning that you're constantly making this day-to-day sacrifice because no one sort of positioned you in a different way where you would have that security and that protection from all the economic problems that are surely going to land on your doorstep. So let me give you a few little stats to let you know just how financially insecure most Americans are. And actually, as I mentioned that, I want to mention a couple things. Number one, y'all know D1. We love D1. He was here the other day. His tour starts soon. His first venue, I think, is Atlanta, tomorrow, actually, April 5th. So if you live in the ATL and you want to go, and he's doing a community panel before the concert. So if you want to go check out D1 and hang out with him, you can go to d1music.com. And the first 40 people that get there, just say my name and then he'll let you in for free because I bought 40 tickets for every city on the tour. So just go to d1music.com. You can go there, tell them Dr. Boyce sent you. First 40 people will get in absolutely free. Now, after the 41st and beyond, I can't guarantee anything, but the first 40, I got you. Okay. D1music.com, DEE1music.com. And it starts tomorrow. I'll join them in a couple cities. I'm going to go to New York and I think one more. I can't remember, maybe Dallas, because I had to find some dates that were far enough apart. All right. So with that said, let's read a couple stats here about financial insecurity. Number one, only 47% of full-time U.S. workers say they feel financially well off in May of 2025. That's less than half, which is down from 52% at the start of the year. So it's actually getting worse. 85% of all American workers carry some form of personal debt, and 26% are now actively seeking help with emergency savings, debt, or financial wellness, which is up sharply from 13% in 2023. So more people are seeking help and I think part of it's because more people are struggling. Secondly, just 41% of Americans would use savings to cover a $1,000 emergency expense, while 27% have no emergency savings at all. So that hasn't been seen since 2020. So 27% of Americans have no emergency savings at all. A staggering 59% of Americans in 2025 don't have enough savings to cover even a $1,000 unexpected expense, meaning most of the nation is essentially living paycheck to paycheck. Did you hear that? So literally 59% of Americans don't have enough money to cover a $1,000 unexpected expense. That's very scary. Only 63% of Americans say they could cover a $400 emergency expense with cash, savings, or a credit card paid off quickly, meaning 37% would have to resort to borrowing or selling something or taking a loan. 13% wouldn't be able to cover it at all. Um, That's kind of scary. That's kind of wild. Also, belief in upward mobility is collapsing. Only 25% of Americans think they have a good chance to improve their standard of living, the lowest since 1987. Nearly 70% of Americans feel that the American dream is out of reach, and over 75% doubt future generations will fare better. So that's this is all scary, man. This is scary. It's sad. It's hurtful. It scares. It worries me. And so the first thing that I put in place to support you in this is you guys know about the 5-year pledge. And the 5-year pledge is basically me asking you to pay bills, not just to the bill collectors, but pay bills to yourself. And it's basically a simple strategy. It says pick a bill that you pay. I suggest if you can do the $500 level because I got the math laid out for you. And the reason I say $500 is because the average car note's $500. So I say, look, if we were to invest for ourselves as much as we invest in the car dealer, then we would all have, we would all be quite well off in terms of being financially liquid. And it would only take 5 years actually to get everything started. In 5 years, you'd see a difference. In 10 or 20 years, you become rich. After about 20 years, you're really rich, right? And it all involves just popping your money into the S&P 500. But I even give you the index funds. I give you a lot of stuff to help you along the way. So if you want to go to 5yearpledge.com, that's 5yearpledge.com, and you can sign up there. Once you sign up, you're going to start getting emails from me, and the emails will pretty much consist of financial support and information, content, just things that will help you and your family make progress. Okay. So when you sign up, nothing magical is going to happen. You'll just be on a list where you'll get stuff from us from the Black Business School for free that will get you started. So it's 5yearpledge.com. And K James says the 5-year pledge email didn't come through. Okay, well, check again. Email support at the blackbusinessschool.com because I'm looking at the system and it's telling me the emails are going out. And because immediately once you get it, within a 24 hours, you should get some stuff sent from us. But I'll double check just to make sure. But I believe it's working. It was working for me, but I'll check again. All right. So long story short, either way though, as you're doing the pledge, you'll still also have daily class as well with me. So I'll be able to sort of give you insights in terms of breaking down financial game so that you can just know what's going on. So you'll kind of understand what to make, what move to make. And the other thing too is I'm really not just thinking about the individual. I'm really thinking in terms of generational brokenness, right? Like I just don't think we should pass down um I don't think we should pass down financial insecurity to children. I just don't think we should do that. It's just not appropriate. It's really, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking years ago, and I had something I coined called a financial STD. And it's not to say you'd give STDs to children. That's just disturbingly gross. But I was talking about couples and how people pass financial STDs to each other because they don't think carefully about who they're dating. The dopamine levels, when it spikes, it just causes us to act like drug addicts and we make bad decisions in relationships. There's science behind that. And but I really think that there's like an equivalent to that when it comes to kids, and there are, believe it or not, there are communities where like this is the grossest story, craziest story I've ever heard. But did anybody hear about the Orthodox Jew community in Brooklyn, where they were doing some sort of ceremony where they would what is it? They would circumcise the baby and then suck the blood out of the baby's, you know what? And the priest would, and the babies were literally catching STDs because this was just nasty as hell. Like it's like the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, but that was a real thing, right? And the babies were literally like the city of New York literally had to stop them from doing that. They were like, "You're not supposed to be doing that," right? So that's like just random, gross, disgusting thought. But like, but I know we're not passing STDs to our kids. That's just wrong. That's just I don't even want to talk about that. But my point is to say that when you're passing down and your kids are inheriting these generational curses, we know that that's not appropriate. I don't want to pass economic stress to my kids because it hurts. It's hard. It's debilitating psychologically. It's stressful. It's painful. And if I can make tiny steps like the 5-year pledge to make sure that no generation after me ever suffers, why wouldn't I do that? I've been paying bills my whole life. Why don't I pay a bill to my family? Seriously, you've been paying bills to everywhere else. So why would you overcommit to building empires other than your own? That's a slave mentality. You are deeply committed to building empires for other people, but no one ever really approached you and said, "How about you build an empire for yourself? How about you do one for you and yours?" Because you can't say that black people don't work hard. You can't say that black people don't spend money. You can't say black people don't pay their bills. We do all those things. We're trained to pay bills. We're told that if you pay your bills on time, then they'll reward you with a good credit score, which means that if you want to go further in debt, they'll loan you more money to get by, not to thrive, but to get by. Um, okay, well, I don't want to just pay bills to have a better credit score so I can borrow more money. I want to pay bills so I can have wealth, so I don't have to borrow money from anybody. Or maybe if I do want to borrow money, I borrow it from myself. I can do what rich people do. Rich people do buy, borrow, and die. They acquire assets. They don't sell them because they don't want to pay taxes. They borrow against those assets because assets become collateral. Collateral is better than credit. Collateral is better than credit. The only reason you need credit is because you have no collateral. And then I can pay back myself. I'm not really even worried about trying to operate in the larger ecosystem because I have an ecosystem of my own that sustains me and my kids. The 5-year plan gets you there. It gets you on that road in less than 5 years. In 5 years, based on the math, a person that invests $500 a month randomly in the S&P 500, literally by randomly picking stocks, as long as you're picking from the S&P 500, don't go buy garbage crap. As long as you're picking from the S&P 500. Did you hear me when I said as long as you're picking from the S&P 500? Did you hear that? And you're diversifying. Basic stuff. So all investing does not build wealth. All investing does not build wealth. Just like driving a car does not guarantee you're going to get to your destination. If it's a raggedy car and you're a terrible driver, the car will probably kill you. So it's not driving the car that will get you there. It is driving the car safely and driving a car that's reliable. The S&P 500 has been for 120 years been the most reliable economic car that there is. It's the most reliable financial vehicle out there. So I'm not telling you not to try other things. I'm not telling you to stay in the box. I'm saying that if you don't feel safe, if investing makes you nervous, or if you're worried about losing money, then keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't go chasing waterfalls. S&P 500 investments, $500 a month, diversify my portfolio, either randomly pick different stocks or just put it all in a couple of the index funds, SPY or VOO. Do that consistently. Don't sell your asset. In 5 years, on average, based on history, you'd have roughly $38,000 liquid in your account. Right there, you're doing better than the majority of all Americans. Most Americans do not have $38,000 if they can access, if they want to. After 10 years, it becomes 99,000 approximately, give or take a few thousand. Nothing's guaranteed. After 20 years, it becomes 350,000. Again, rough estimate. After 30 years, you're a millionaire, $1 million liquid. One generation makes a sacrifice. No generation suffers after that. There's actually a lady, a nice lady in this class, Sheila. She talks about her father. She came to the All Black National Convention. And her daddy, who died, I think about 20 years ago, her daddy used to say that. He said, one generation sacrifices so that all the other generations can live good. And she said, my goodness, my father is literally taking care of us from the grave. This hardworking black man went out and got 60 acres of land, passed it down to the family, made sure he handled all of his finances, made sure his children were financially literate. And now, when Sheila and I sit down and we talk about money, we ain't talking about chump change. When we talk about economics, we ain't talking about strugglenomics. We're talking about powernomics. When we're talking about her investments and her portfolio, we're talking about a pretty big chunk of money. And she ain't no different from nobody in this room. You could tell she comes from regular, hardworking folks, good people that made good decisions, that cared about legacy, that loved each other. That's all it was. There ain't no fancy, this ain't no fancy meeting with like British butlers and having tea time and her, trying to take me to Hollywood with the executives and nothing, it's no, it's like she's a regular person, just like you and I. She just doesn't have to go to work every day. And that seed was planted when her father was here. So everybody who's a parent, my goodness, what greater gift to give to your kids than financial security, where they can live a soft life and actually explore life and enjoy life and travel and learn and grow and experience as opposed to stress and struggle and strain and be stuck in a box. So getting unstuck is something that can happen, but it takes teamwork and it takes sacrifice and it takes time. But 5 years. That's all it takes. 5-year pledge. Okay, 5yearpledge.com. Feel free to go there. Also, Chanel, if you want to share that link again to join the coin program, please do. All right, so let me play this Claymation Dr. Boyce video one more time, just so we can think about what he's saying here. So give me, oh, wait, give me a second. Let me pull this back. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, by the way. And by the way, if you want to join the private Zoom, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Is Robinhood part of the S&P 500? Yes, it is. All right. So I believe it is. It might not be actually now that I think about it. I got to double check that. I believe it is though. Yeah, I think it is. Let me check though. Let me check. And if you're really not sure, go with the ETFs, SPY or VOO, Victor Oscar Oscar Sierra Papa Yankee. That'll give you S&P 500 companies. So here, let's play this one more time so we can absorb this and understand the emergency fund conversation today. Here we go.
That trade things like, what the fuck is an emergency fund? It's not extra money. It's the cash cushion that keeps your life from collapsing the second shit hits the fan. Car breaks down, emergency fund. Job lays you off, emergency fund. Random medical bill that looks like a mortgage payment, emergency fund. Most people don't have one, and that's why one bad week turns into begging family, maxing out credit cards, or starting a sad-ass GoFundMe. That's not a financial plan, that's desperation. Here's the truth. Life doesn't give a damn about your paycheck schedule. Shit happens when it happens, and if you don't have a stash, you're not living free. You're living one step away from broke. An emergency fund isn't sexy, but it's freedom. It's the difference between handling problems like a boss and crying while the repo man tows your car. So yeah, stack at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. Stop treating it like a maybe. It's mandatory. Because life will test your money game, and if you don't have a safety net, you're gonna splatter. I'm Little Claymation, Dr. Boyce, and between you and me, I don't give a fuck. I love you, and I'll see you next time. What?
All right. So there we go. So that's
So,
Claymation Dr. Boyce. Let's see what else is here. I don't know what this is. Let me see.
People don't know is I was able to walk away and take a 2-year break because I had built passive income. Never thought I'd be starting over. After over 20 years of marriage, 4 beautiful children, and building the largest Black-owned real estate firm in California, I thought I finally arrived. Life was good. I was making money. I had a team, investments, a mortgage company. Everything I had worked for, prayed for, bled for, I'd built with my own hands. And then my whole world shifted. Divorce hit me like a wrecking ball. So I abruptly packed up my life, I left my business, and I moved across the country. Not because I had it all figured out, because I needed some space to breathe. And what most people don't know is I was able to walk away and take a 2-year break because I had built passive income. That's what freedom looks like. Having my money work for me when I couldn't even work for myself. And during that time of stillness, I prayed, I fasted, I asked God, what's now? That's when he gave me the vision for Net 7 Collective. I looked around and I realized most of the people who worked for me were Black women. My tribe, my circle, all Black women. And I saw what we needed. We needed wealth. We needed healing. We needed options. We needed each other. I wanted to empower women who looked like me, who had given their all to everybody else, to finally pour into themselves, to build businesses, to invest, to write books, to own something. And baby, they did. Over 80 women all across the country and even globally had increased their net worth. They grew new income streams and they stepped into their power that they didn't even know that they had. Beyond the money, they found sisterhood. And now we're building Net 7 Nation because this movement is bigger than just a cohort. This is grassroots. This is legacy. And if you're a Black woman or you know one who's ready to get free, not just financially, but spiritually, emotionally, generationally, it's time. And what most people don't know.
Okay, well, that's Constance Carter with Net 7 Collective. I think that's very cool. You've met Constance. She's amazing. She's really awesome. And she was at the All Black National Convention, and she's one of the leading experts in this country, particularly in real estate. She's really good with that. And and here's something that I wanted to share with you also. This is from the convention. Someone sent this to me, so I'll play this really quick. Here we go. Look at that. Okay, so the All Black National Convention, in case you didn't make it this year, it was really amazing. It was the biggest convention we ever had, and I'm super proud of the fact that we. Oh no, I wasn't sharing my screen. Were you able to see it? Tell me if you were able to see it. Someone says I wasn't sharing my screen. Okay, I was sharing my screen. Okay, so whoever couldn't see it, maybe you saw some. So sorry about that. Oh, that made me nervous. I thought I was sitting here looking stupid. All right, but then again, I'm pretty good at that, looking stupid. All right, so anyway, if you want to join us for Brooklyn, you can actually get your passes at the ultra early bird price. Everything 50% off for another, I think, 5 days. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. We will be in Brooklyn the weekend of October 16th. That's what we're aiming for. We're picking out our venue right now, and that's the weekend, October 16th, 2026. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. All right, yeah, the tickets were sold out this year, and they're going to be sold out again next year for next year. So, and they may sell out before we even hit Christmas because we're not trying to do we're not we love Invest Fest, but we don't want to have another Invest Fest. We want something that maybe has 1,000, 1,500 people. I think this one was bigger than most. It was probably about three or 4,000 or 3 to 5. I don't know. I gotta go look the numbers. But either way, though, that was actually bigger than what we normally do. We actually kind of want to condense it a little bit this upcoming year, largely because we like the intimacy. We like the fact that you can connect with the speakers, walk up and talk to them, because it has to be a mix between substance and flash, right? The flash is fun. It's nice to laugh and dance and have fun and hear the great speeches and the great panels. But really, I need you to make connections. Connections are one thing that's really important for business. That's how you build wealth, is knowing people and working with good people. And then two, you got to learn stuff. You got to actually have stuff that's there that you can implement. So after you give each other a hug and share love, then you connect with each other. Then you formulate plans with each other, and then you learn from each other, and then you build together. And then at the end, something actually comes out of that, not just a party, right? We're not here just we're not a party with a purpose. We're a purpose with a party. How about that? Right. So that there you go. We're not a party with a purpose. We are a purpose with a party, because it is a lot of fun too. If you've ever been, you know how much fun we have. All right, the space tournament. I was winning the space tournament. Actually, me and Alicia, we went through round one and round two, and we just absolutely dominated. And well, we didn't dominate the second time. We barely won, but we were good. But we got so sleepy, so I had to go to bed because I had to get up the next morning to speak. But I was kind of mad because I wanted to stick around because a lot of people were talking crazy, and I don't like that. But anyway, but next year we're gonna do the space tournament. We'll start earlier so that we don't have to stay up all night. All right, so I'm gonna go get out of here, guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. So remember the rules in terms of emergency funds. Everybody needs to have one. This is a requirement. It's like having a bathroom in your house. You can't just opt out on having a bathroom. You need a bathroom, right? So financially speaking, the emergency fund is a little bit like that financial bathroom. You got to have it. Everybody needs it. Why? Well, because emergencies happen to everybody, and the emergencies are expensive. Things happen with kids, stuff like that. Don't be like most Americans. I think there's a reason they don't train you to do these sorts of things, because I think that financial desperation benefits them. Why? Well, because think about this. Everything's built on laws of supply and demand. Everything economic, it comes back, most of it comes back to supply and demand. So if they are supplying jobs and they need people to fill those jobs at a good wage, well, they need a labor supply, which means you have to demand a job. You need to want what they're serving. You need to want what they've got, right? And people don't demand jobs if they're financially secure. But financially secure people won't just demand a job. They will beg for a job. They will do anything for a job. They will let you abuse them to keep the job. They will let you pay them a low wage to keep the job. Do you understand? And in fact, that's another reason why I think that they were so open, they were so okay with like the open borders and all that. It's because they said, okay, we need some more desperate people up in here, because desperate people work the hardest for the lowest wage. So corporate America is playing a game with you. Corporate America is playing a game with you. They're playing chess. Are you going to play checkers? Or are you going to play chess too? Or are you going to walk away from the game? That's what I do. When I get in a game I don't like, or a game that's unfair, I walk away from the game. I had a notorious debate with Dame Dash when he and I were hanging out. I like Dame a lot. And one time he was debating with me about something. He tried to back me into a corner where he gave me a yes or no question where either answer was going to allow him to prove his point, which I did not agree with. And he said, "So what do you think? Is it yes or is it no?" I said, "It's neither." I said, "I'm not answering that question." So I'm not. I want options. You're giving me the illusion of options. You done me the way the Democrats and Republicans do in every election. You're giving me a bad option and a worse option. I'm not picking either one. So I'm not participating in this discussion anymore. And he kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I said, nope, nope, buddy. I know what I play chess and poker and stuff. And I know when I'm being put into an impossible situation. That's what you're trying to do. I'm not doing it. So don't let them, economically speaking, put you in an impossible situation. That's my point. Don't let them stick you between a rock and a hard place, man. That's not where you're supposed to be. Because what will happen is you will lose that really valuable asset that we talk about almost every day in class, which is options. You'll lose your options. And when you lose your options, you lose your power. Options are power. Options are freedom. So if you want to understand freedom and power, learn options. If you want to give your children freedom and power, give them options. You want to get options and freedom and power, then get your economics right because money isn't just about buying stuff. Money gives you options. Chris Rock told you that a long time ago. You've been knowing that. You know that money means you have options. So give yourself options by building the emergency fund, make the sacrifice, build the bridge, build the dam, whatever it is you want to call it, and that's how you succeed. That's powernomics, baby. That's what we're doing. That's how we do stuff over here, okay? So God bless you. Have a great day, everybody. My book is The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. If you want to get a copy, you can go to drboycebooks.com. Or also there we have financial flashcards for kids, financial workbooks for children. We have things for families and couples and all kinds of stuff. So drboycebooks.com is where you can go. Secondly, Chanel is sharing the link again to join the stock options class that starts actually tonight at 8:30 or 8. It's either 8 or 8:30. I think it's 8. They might be 8 actually. Put the time in there, Chanel, because like you know how I get the 8s and 8:30s mixed up. But anyway, either way, tonight, and that's a small group, and I'll teach you everything you need to know about stock options. When you walk out of there, you will be very good at stock options. I guarantee that. All right. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you, and thank you for forgiving me for my tardiness. These hotel curtains are so dark. It was wild. It's very surreal. All right. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. And if you're not in the private Zoom and you want to come to the private Zoom, text the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day. Bye bye.